let's take a look at the games from Thursday, recapping all of the big performances, including a Golden State win on the road that they almost didn't get. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and if you missed this episode, you'd better be dead or in jail. And if you're in jail, break out! I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at LockedOnFantasyBasketball. Check out LockedOnDaily.com and get the best newsletter for your favorite team, whether it is the Warriors, or it is the Pistons, or it is the Wolves, or it is the Magic with the return of Paolo Banchero. Maybe you want to do that. LockedOnDaily.com. Double bangs are always appreciated. I don't want a single one. Actually, I'll take a single one if I have to. If I have to settle for it, I'll take it. Otherwise, I want doubles. I want to be banged from both sides. Audio and video, thumbs, comments, listens, downloads. There was supposed to be 8 games today, but one of the games has been postponed. Lakers-Hornets due to the fires in Los Angeles. And again, any of you guys who are in LA and have lost whatever it is, we all are thinking of you in this. It's honestly like frightening and terrible time. Let's talk about the action. Let's talk about Thursday. It is the 40th anniversary today of the Where's the Beef commercial first airing. So, if you want to discover where the beef is, well, now's the perfect day. So, find your beef. Let's talk games. Let's talk... No. Let's start with some news. Put the Warriors' resting potential on here because they all basically played. Steph and Schroeder and Draymond all played on Thursday. We know that Steph's most likely going to sit on Friday, but does Draymond sit? Does Schroeder sit? Andy Wiggins was out on Thursday for personal reasons. Is he going to be out again? The Warriors on Friday could be a skeleton crew. And we got an interesting performance from the big fella Guy Santos today. We'll talk about that with the Warriors game, but they could have just nobody available or a bunch of guys not there. So just watch that one. For the Pelicans, Zion returns, but Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are out in case you didn't see that. So that is opportunity for more BJ, for more Jordan Hawkins, more Jose Alvarado. Also, DeJounte Murray is questionable there. Paolo did not play today, but he's going to play tomorrow. So for Friday's game, Banchero is going to make his return. I hope that it's not too much of a limit. Remember, he's been in return to competition conditioning for about a week and a half to 2 weeks because when you've got that torn oblique, you can't really do anything. You can't move, obviously. You've got to let it heal, so you can't be doing... It's not like a broken hand where you can be keeping your fitness up. So I think those 2 weeks or so that they ran him through that and should hopefully enable him to be able to get back to a relatively large load straight away. Jared McCain, we expected this. This is what we anticipated when we have to be careful with the Sixers though because they throw terms out there. Remember old Joel Embiid's torn flap, meniscus flap? We go, well, okay, so what does it mean? How long is he going to be out? But they said repair for McCain's meniscus injury. A repair is a 6-month injury, but I wasn't sure if they were just using terms flippantly. Turns out they weren't. He is out for the season, Jared McCain. But that's how I think we've been approaching this all the way through. Nikola Jokic is questionable with the illness for the Nuggets, while Aaron Gordon has been upgraded to doubtful. So we don't expect that Gordon plays, but it means that maybe the next one, he's going to be there. So we'll be interested to see what happens to Russell Westbrook and more importantly to Christian Brown. Like one of those guys is going to lose a lot of minutes and we'll see which one it is. I've got my feelings about what they do there. Let's talk waiver wire trends, the most added dudes over the last 48 hours. Number one on that list is, and most of these guys are actually just guys that play on Thursday, which is interesting. Number one is Jaime Jaquez Jr., who, and we'll talk about his performance later on when we get to that game, but his first 2 games, one was really good, one was less good, but it was interesting, and you know my thoughts on him. Tamani Kamara, perfect stream guy. Kelly Oubre, been a solid stream guy while players are out. Gershon Yabusele, love the ad, there's no Drummond, there's no Embiid. Long term, don't see it, but for now, yeah, no problem. Keon Ellis, well, we don't know, do we? We don't know what's going to happen when Fox is back, and he might be back on Friday. It is going to be very interesting to see how Doug Christie handles that one. But yeah, fine to add him, and same with Little Chungus, Nikola Jovic. Although you're going to get a Spolstra special at some point where actually you got it 2 games ago, where the minutes are just all over the shop. That is what happens, and I'm guessing that is what will continue to happen. The most drop players. Number 1 is Passion Pop Justin Champagny. The Wizards still have players out, but Champagny's minutes, they're just not reliable enough, so you don't rely upon him. Dylan Brooks has been dropped. Totally understand that. He's a stream-level player. Malcolm Brogdon is hurt again, out again tomorrow. Easy drop. Tristan Da Silva, production is very, very inconsistent, and now Paolo is back. Paolo was back, but Da Silva's minutes were down today anyway. Easy drop in 12s. Ryan Dunn, people made the move off of Dunn, even though there was still 3 more games for the Suns, which is totally okay because he's not that good, but also I'm not sure how much of an advantage you're gaining there. If you added Dunn for a 5-game week, why did you bail after 2? I don't know. And then Trey Lyles, the next most dropped play, which again makes complete sense. He's a stream guy when the schedule plus is in play, and that's realistically about it. Should we talk games? Minnesota. Orlando. First game up for the day. The Wolves win it pretty easily. 104-89 is your final score here. Minnesota goes in on the road. The Magic just did not have it at all really in this game. And that's okay. They've been playing as well as you could possibly have expected with the absences that they've had, but they just couldn't get it going in this one. And, sometimes that happens. And I guess part of it is there's some anticipation about a return of Paolo Banchero coming tomorrow as well. We'll start with the Minnesota side. They went with that same starting lineup. Dante DiVincenzo only played 25 minutes, which is a little concerning. But production's fine. So if I've got DiVincenzo, I hold. 12, 2, 4, 4 threes, 2 steals. Right? That's we don't love it. I don't sit there and go, man, that's great. I love the minutes, because I don't. But the production's fine. I will hold. Mike Conley also looking much better in a bench role. 23 minutes, 9 and 4 with 2 steals. An elite stream guy at the moment, but not a guy I'm grabbing. Jaden McDaniels, he's the stream king. We know this, 7 and 8 with a block, while Randall put together a really good game. 23 and 10 for Julius and only 23 minutes for Naz Reid. So they've gone back to the same minute split as before. Reid scored well. 16 points, 2 steals, 1 block, 2 threes. He's putting together a solid run. But of course, this brings him to 138th over the last 2 weeks because he'd been so bad prior to that. He is a hold, but only a back-end guy for now, unless something massive changes, which it doesn't look like it. It was a terrible game from Anthony Edwards, terrible, and that's without Jalen Suggs guarding him. 21 points, 36 minutes. And you go, why is that bad? Well, he shot 26%. He was 7 of 9 from the line, which is not terrible, but it's also not good. He did have 7 assists, but that efficiency is a killer. Maybe terrible's going a little bit too far, but I guess for expectation's sake, you would want someone to shoot more than 26%. On the Orlando side of it, because Paolo did not return here and Jalen Suggs remained out, they went with that same starting lineup. We'll go to the point guard spot. Cole Anthony played 27 minutes. He had 12, 3, and 5. He had 2 steals and 2 blocks. He did not shoot very well from the field or from the line, but those numbers are great. And Mr. Black played 10 minutes. 3 points for Anthony Black. He had a block. He shot 20%. He remains very much not good TM. Just don't roster him in 10 or 12. Or honestly, why would you even bother? In a 14 team, why would you bother with a man that's ranked outside the top 230, even though Suggs is out? Doesn't really seem to matter. Wendell Carter Jr. also stunk 8 and 6 in 18 minutes. If we see that he moves back and starts when Paolo returns, I would consider it, but I don't actually care enough to roster him in 12s. And then, like I said, Da Silva, another inconsistent game, 6 points in 22% shooting. He had 9 rebounds, but he played only 24 minutes. KCP was pretty good. He's having a solid enough run here. 13 points with a steal and a block, while Goga was a nice bounce back for Badadze. 15 and 8 for the Dart with 3 blocks. Again, we hold and we figure out what happens when Paolo returns, and you don't need to make a preemptive decision with that at this point. There are 6 more games. We're going to talk about them. But first, I'm going to talk to you about tax. Yeah, how exciting is that? But it needs to be done. And Intuit TurboTax makes it easier. I'm sure you're tired of the endless waiting, the wondering, and the worrying about your taxes. Well, don't worry about that anymore. Taxes do not need to be complicated or stressful. TurboTax is here to change the game by matching you with a TurboTax expert who can get to work on your return right away. No more waiting for answers. No more wondering if you're missing out on deductions. You've got 1 form or 20, doesn't matter. TurboTax experts can give your taxes their undivided attention, giving you real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on what really matters. You don't have to lift a finger. you get the peace of mind knowing that your taxes are being handled by pros. So get ready for stress-free taxes and get that most money back that you can, guaranteed. Well, yep, you are, I'm sure. Head over to turbotax.com today and get matched with your expert who's ready to take your taxes off your plate so that you can focus on your day. It's only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app, and see guaranteed details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Okay, let's bang it in now to game number 2. The Golden State Warriors and Detroit Pistons. The Warriors had this one seemingly locked up, and even though it was a back-to-back for Detroit, they were able to come back and they almost snuck it in at the end. The Warriors, without Andy Wiggins, decided that this was the time to put Buddy Hield back into the starting lineup, and Buddy Hield was pretty good. I'm not going to denigrate what Hield was able to do in this game, but we know what happens with Buddy Hield. We always run the full gamut of emotions and performances from Hield. We're in a bit of an upswing. He had 19 points, 32 minutes, 5 threes. If you've got him, you hold for tomorrow because there could be a million other players out there as well. Steph had 17, 10, and 6. He played 36 minutes. Just rule him out tomorrow. He's not going to play. And in fact, we might even get a discussion from Steve Kerr at some point post-game to give us the information about that. But no, I haven't seen anything. That's all right. We're good. Steph played a lot of minutes. That means he's not going to be there, I'm sure. Tomorrow, Dennis Schroeder did not very much. He was fine. 35 minutes, 13 and 6 assists. Not anything more than a schedule plus stream guy. And Jackson Davis, only 26 minutes. Speaking of running the gamut, Jackson Davis's minutes run the gamut from 17 to 35 to 26. He had 14 and 10. This is a more realistic line for him outside of that really good shooting. Not much else really going on here. We've got Kevon Looney exhumed for 8 and 8 with 2 steals and a block in 20 minutes. And yeah, I should have talked about this guy earlier. Old mate Guy Santos. 26 minutes, 13 and 5, 4 threes and 2 steals. Now, he won't shoot this well. We know the 67% shooting is not going to happen. But with the potential of Wiggins, Steph, Schroeder, maybe Draymond, maybe Moody out tomorrow, you might get 30 minutes of Guy Santos. You might get Pat Spencer playing 20 minutes. You might get some very weird and wonderful performances. Santos is not someone we're going to get overly excited about. Like, bro's the 431st ranked player this season. So I don't get too interested in it. But if you're looking for a one-day stream, also understanding there is no Friday, Saturday back-to-back, and this is the Warriors' final game of the week, maybe you consider it if you're in an abundance of ads type scenario, which some of you will be, some of you won't. Detroit. Asar Thompson returned from his illness, so I guess that does mean crisis averted. We don't have a recurrence of the blood clot issue. That's a W. Tim Hardaway, who many people added for the back-to-back, well, he was out with his own back issue. That's not great. Let's talk about Asar, because he had 9 points, he had 2 rebounds, he had 3 assists, he had 2 steals and a block. But he played 17 minutes. It has been, I would say, underwhelming in this sort of re-entering to the starting lineup with Jaden Ivey out. He is not anywhere near as good as his brother. I feel very confident in saying that at this point. The last time we saw him, he had 10 and 10 with 6 steals and then didn't play for 2 games. And in this one, he started the third quarter and got subbed out about halfway through and never returned. I know the upside is tantalizing. I know that. But, has he hit 30 minutes yet? No. Is he even consistently getting 25? Of course he isn't. So I think we hold him, and that's going to depend a lot on your own individual circumstances. But I don't have a high level of confidence that we're pushing into a large role here moving forward. Cade was very good, bouncing back from that poor game yesterday. He didn't shoot well from the line, which is weird, but at least he got free throw attempts. 32, 6 and 8 with 3 steals and a block. And Duren, again, we can criticize Duren a lot, and I have, don't worry, but he is playing better. He's at least producing better, and JB Bickerstaff is using him more. 8 points in 31 minutes, but 12 boards, 2 steals, 3 blocks. It is encouraging what we're getting from Duren at the moment. Leaky Beasley had 21 with 4 threes, and the thick Hogsman shot well. Tobias Harris, 75%. But 8 attempts? Bro, I thought he was going to be taking more shots with Ivy out, and he has, for the most part. He was a +8 in this game. Just really weird stuff from Detroit. 13, 4 and 4 for Toby. I think part of the Asar Thompson thing as well is that they were able to work their way back into the game. He wasn't part of that group, so they just sort of kept him out there as well. The guy that took those minutes was Simone Fontecchio, who had 3 points in 14% shooting, which isn't really good at all, but he did play those extra minutes that were seeded by Asar Thompson. We'll go into the next game now, the third of the early games. It is your Toronto Raptors taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs coming in a bit of a letdown spot here, I guess, after the matchup against the Thunder yesterday. But the Raptors, who had an early lead and were keeping it really close, they were able to fight, and the Cavs pulled away just to get the 132-126 win. So the Cavs get the win. Won't say it was overly inspiring or fantastic, but sometimes you just need to do that, especially when you're coming off a back-to-back. Yesterday, or the last time the Raptors played, we talked about, what's this? Chris Boucher, 10 points in 3 minutes. That's very weird. Let's keep an eye on it. Well, he just went full Boucher here. I don't really know what happened. Well, that's not true. Ochai Agbaji was out, so Boucher played 27 minutes. Mobo was in the G League, so Boucher played 27 minutes. Boucher had 23 and 12 with 5 threes and a block and a steal. And I know people are going to go and add Boucher. He won't do this. I'm really confident about saying that. He's not going to do this. But I will say this other part. If Agbaji remains out, maybe it's a short-term stream. I'm not massively into it. I'm probably not caring about it for 12-team leagues or 10s. 14s, maybe. I vaguely remember I talked about him on the streaming show. Maybe I didn't, but I thought I did for deep leagues. But he exceeded any expectation I could have had. Pirtle was very good, 17, 7, and 6 with 3 steals. Barnesy was really good as well, 24, 10, and 8 with 3 steals. And Rowan Barrett had 20 and 5 with 5 assists and 2 steals. So a million steals for those main guys. And Barrett, who was a little bit disappointing in his revenge game, was able to turn it up against a team that he allegedly doesn't care about. But what that meant is that Emmanuel quickly stepped back, and we might have a bit of a problem on our hands. Not that it means that, again, you can't look at one game necessarily like this one and go, oh my God. Quickly had 10 points. He only shot the ball 10 times. He had 18 usage. Is that what it's going to be? He's going to be third option behind Barrett? Because if you go back literally 24 hours and look at the game yesterday, you would have said the same thing about Barrett. Oh my God, Quickly's the number 2. Why is Barrett taking the third option spot? So the problem there is the level of inconsistency, the level of, I say panic, but we know it's fantasy basketball, so who cares? But, not who cares, but when we take a look at it, the panic is marginal in our lives. But we look at it and still go, that's not ideal. Is he going to get hurt again? Where's his role? But just understand that just a 24-hour period ago, he was the number 2 guy, and Barrett was the guy that stepped back. That game didn't mean anything. This game doesn't mean anything in terms of how we determine a pattern moving forward. It's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think what we see today, and realistically over the last couple of weeks in the NBA, that the coaches are just going to be like, all right, we are not having anything super rigid. We are changing rotations. We are changing minutes. We are changing players we use. We are changing hierarchies. We are changing ball handling. We need to adapt, adjust. What's outwit, outlast, outplay? We need to do that every game here in order to be successful in the NBA. You've got to make adjustments, and that is going to continue to happen. What they also have adjusted is they are just not getting as much dick in there. 11 points for Grady in 21 minutes. You know what you do. I don't think that it's tough to figure it out, but it's very obvious. It's very obvious what you need to do. You need to just remove Grady back to the waiver wire.
Get that garbage out of here.
You thought I was going to say something different, didn't you? You dirty bastards. All right, Olynyk played 6 minutes. No one's holding on, surely. No one is holding on to him. You can move on, but I'll tell you who looks pretty good. Easily better than Davion Mitchell, Jamal Shed. He's not going to shoot this well. He had 15 points with 3 threes, but I'm pretty sure he's locking in as the backup point guard, which for deeper leagues, it's going to matter. It's going to be important, and you need to pay attention to those things. It's also important for those of you in standard leagues. So if I think something does happen to Quickly later on, they're looking for a guy, Shed will be it over Mitchell, given how things are currently tracking. On the Cavs side of things, Karis LeVert started with Donovan Mitchell resting this one on the back-to-back. Garland was unbelievable. 40 points in 36 minutes, 9 assists and 2 steals, 64% shooting. Now, he was a guy that I was in on drafting this season because you would have heard me say it if you listened to me in the off-season a lot when I said, there's no way Garland and Mitchell can't work together ever since Mitchell's arrived. Garland's been terrible. And all I would reply to that is like, no, we actually saw it like literally a year ago where they both put up good numbers. So that narrative was garbage. People love creating a narrative of one season when if you just go back one more year, We saw it work. Now, it's worked in Garland's favor to a degree that I had no idea what was going to happen. But it was, I thought, relatively easy to see that, yeah, it can work. We have literally seen it work, and we are seeing it work to a different degree now. Of course, Mitchell's not playing in this game, but Garland, I think his downturn last season was because he got smacked in the jaw, couldn't eat for 4 weeks. I reckon that's probably what happened. Jarrett Allen was great again, 18 and 15 with 2 blocks, so was Evan Mobley. The Koala had 21 and 11 with 6 assists. Karis LeVert, after absolutely stinking yesterday, and then today I put him as my stream of the day, and I thought, oh, no, that's going to look pretty rough. Well, no, good. 18, 3 and 5 with 4 threes. Happy with that. That's a good result. We don't have to roster him, though, unless there are opportunities like this. While the Winter Soldier played the back-to-back Max Strus, he had 25 minutes, 12 points, 4 threes. That's pretty good. I don't think it necessitates a must roster. It's like a better Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, which is fine to roster, but it's not a necessity to do. And then Milk had 20 minutes with Mitchell out. We also got more minutes from Dean Wade. He played 29 minutes here. He's a good player, but it doesn't really resonate that much for fantasy. So I think for the majority of us, we leave him for the deeper formats and probably about it, I would say. A couple more games for us to get to, which we'll do soon, but today's episode, it is brought to you by the legends at Rocket Money. You're saving money. You know this. We love to save money, and subscriptions are a thing that have just taken over the world, really. And often you can be sitting there and you just see a payment come out of your account and you go, what's that? Oh, damn it. Why do I still have that? Well, I guess I'll cancel it next year. And Rocket Money helps to go through, find all your subscriptions, and cancel the unwanted ones. Find the double ups and save you money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app to help you find and cancel those unwanted subscriptions, to set your saving goals, to keep your budgeting on track as well. It has helped over 5 million users with a total of $500 million in cancelled subscriptions, up to $740 a year for members when they use all of the app's premium features. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That is rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Let's do the next game. We're going to go Portland and Dallas in Dallas. The Mavericks do pull off the victory. The Blazers were trotting out the same starting lineup. Jeremy Grant's facial contusion continues to give him enormous problems, so he wasn't able to be there to participate and see this performance from his team. 117-111 was your final score. We'll talk about a couple of big games from the guards here. All 3 of their main guards scored 20 points. Shaedon Sharpe had 22 and 8 with 2 steals and a block. He's on a really nice run. He took 19 shots as well. That is a lot, and he was inefficient, but he is putting together a strong run. I still worry about his overall fantasy upside, but he's got rebounds here. He got steals and blocks, and he looks better. Scoot Henderson also looks better. 26 minutes for Sterling. He had 20 points with 4 assists and 2 threes, but 26 minutes, sure, not great, but okay. We had to get 12 free throw attempts to get Scoot here. And I don't trust that Scoot's going to get those, nor do I trust that Scoot's going to hit all 12 of them. It was interesting, though. Sharpe was a minus 15 in this game, while Scoot was a plus 3, and Simons was neutral. So that's interesting. It was interesting. Let's talk Simons. He had 22, 1 and 4, which is, again, fine. Did he take any free throws? No, he's learning from the best, DeAndre Ayton, which brings us to DeAndre Ayton. The Snowman played 21 minutes. He had 6 and 6 with 2 blocks. He didn't play very well. So they went to more Donovan Clingan, who rested yesterday, and we actually got big minutes from him. 24 minutes, 11, 2 blocks. Now, I know what one of the comments has already been. Is this it? Is it the breakout? Are they preparing Ayton and sitting him down and tanking and Clingan's now the starter? No, I don't think so. It could be. And if you wanted to take a crack and have a look at Clingan and add him based on that, go for it. It's probably not going to hurt you if you do that. But I think this is just one of those scenarios where Ayton didn't have it. He was lazy, shock. Wasn't playing well. And they just went with Clingan, who did play well. And I don't think this is going to be an automatic, all right, you're done now, DeAndre, sit down. Clingan's getting 27. If it is the case, I'll come back and I'll say, Jesus, I was massively wrong. But it just feels like one of those games where he'll come back, he'll play 16 minutes in the next game, Clingan. He'll have 4 and 4, and you'll go, what am I doing? If you don't want to miss out on it, that's okay. Because there is a possibility. I'm not going to rule that out. It just doesn't feel like that'll be the case. Maybe it is. It doesn't feel that way. Denny Avdia got another start and played 34 minutes. Unfortunately, like I talked about on the Sal High show, he had been shooting massively above his head. And in this game, he probably did not. 33% from the field, missed both of his free throws, had 9, 8, and 4. Yep. He is fine to have. He will put up some okay numbers. He is not a game changer. He is not that great. He is a player who will have some solid opportunities when multiple players are out, and that is true, but that is also not to say he won't be one of the players that ends up being out. Remember that part of it as well. We are getting some extra minutes from Chris Murray, which is important for those of you in the deeper formats. Just keep an eye on that. Well, Tamani Kamara was fine, and this is why I think that he's more of a stream player. 11 points in 31 minutes. He shot 28.9%, which is bad, but 2 rebounds, 1 assist. He continues to just be fine. If he's on your 12-man roster, again, an honest appraisal, is he your worst guy? Is he your second worst guy? Because if he's either of those things, then he probably is just a streamer. And that's how I'm viewing him, and I'm not sure that that's going to change. It might, but I don't think it will. Onto the Mavs, they were able to run the same starting lineup. So PJ Washington shot poorly, but whatever. 11 of 11 from the line, 23 and 14, 3 steals and a block. We love that. And Derek Lively, also unbelievable. 35 minutes, 21-15, 3 blocks, 69%, and he played against DeAndre Ayton. So that's where we get that from. Huge from Lively, just an absolute must roster. Gafford did return after he's, so long it's going to be Jason. Oh my God, Jason Kidd. What a terribly long absence of one game. He played 10 minutes, Gafford. He blocked 3 shots, but I look at his roster percentage numbers. They're through the roof. And I don't think they need to be. There will be games where he has 21 minutes and he goes 10, 3 blocks, 100% shooting. Go, man, why would I drop him? And I've made incorrect decisions about reading how the Mavs used Gafford in the past before. Last season, I was wrong. I might be wrong again, but Lively is just so much better than him. And half the stuff that I do maybe it's even more than half, is talking fantasies. I know that Daniel Gafford has a far superior fantasy game to Derek Lively. I know that. And I know that if he gets to 24 minutes a night, he will be a clear must-roster player. But when I'm going through my spreadsheets and looking at all the numbers, it tells me that, when you watch, Derek Lively is just a way better player. So usually, the way better player will continue to get the better minutes, the more productivity just through volume. And Jason Kidd's not going to go, yeah, but look at Gafford's fantasy rank when he plays 25 minutes. Surely he plays more. It could happen, but I don't think it will. And that's why I'm feeling very confident about having Lively and not necessarily needing to roster Gafford. It's guard watch because, of course, we know who is out. Dinwiddie, 17-5-5, 12-team guy. Quentin Grimes, 13-5-4, probably a 12-team guy. Najee Marshall, not very good, and only played 26 minutes. I am still holding him. My priority has always been Dinwiddie, then Grimes and Marshall. Marshall maybe pushed up a little bit more, and that's okay. I think there's still all going to be around 12-team value. That's not a great game from Najee. But I think he's probably worth a hold. But I'm also very much in the position of I don't think Clay is a hold.
Get that garbage out of here.
22 minutes for Clay. 3 points. 17% shooting. 16 usage. This is the time that Clay should be actually putting up good numbers. And they're worse. Bye. We do have to talk Jaden Hardy, because the big fella absolutely popped off. He led the team in shot attempts. He had 18 of them. He shot well. He had 25 points with 5 threes. That's really good. I do not believe that this is a 12-team ad scenario. He required those extra minutes, the extra shots, elite efficiency, elite for him to get to this number. He offers very little in the peripheral categories, and it's just not something where I look at this team and go, yeah, let's pencil him in for leading the team in shots in 29 minutes every night. No way. Don't see it. Deep leagues, absolutely, we've got some value there. Maybe Hardy can do it. I actually like Hardy as a player, but I just think the positional hierarchy on this team is just not one that's going to allow this to be something that continues to happen all the time. It might. I don't think it will, but it is a nice little surprise if you did have Jaden Hardy in the lineup for today. All right, the next game. The Houston Rockets take care of the Grizzlies 119-115, the final score. Some weirdness on the Memphis side, which we'll get to in a sec, but Houston was able to trot out the same starting lineup that they've been running for the last few games, with Amen Thompson replacing Jabari Smith Jr. And we'll start with Amen Thompson, who didn't repeat what he did last time out. He had 10, 7, and 5 and a steal and a block with bad shooting, but hit his free throws and continues to just be very good. Very good. Fred VanVleet dropped a casual 22 points with 4 steals and 3 threes in 41 minutes. I know people have complained ad nauseum about him, but we are starting to get some much better performances come that way. And Şengün, look, that is absolutely fantastic, but also absolutely brutal at the same point. 32, 14, and 5, we love it. A block, yes, 60% shooting, come on, let's go. And then he shoots, whatever that is, 7 of 15 from the line, 47%. That that's like a weak loser. I'm not calling him a weak loser. That means that is something that can lose your week. Reminds you of the old, makes your whole week joke. But that is, that's hurtful, man. That's hurtful. Dylan Brooks had 5 points. Of course he did. He also maybe made your whole week with 13% shooting on 15 attempts. He is a stream guy. That is all he is. And Jalen Green, another really good game. He is putting together a strong streak of games. Top 40 over his last 5. 27, 2 and 3. 3 steals, a block, 4 triples, and 52%. Now, I will say this about Jalen. He has had many hot streaks throughout his career. That is true. But this season, he has also had more hot streaks per capita. Per capita is the wrong word, but per time frame than what he's had in previous years. He's had good streaks. He's had shit streaks. Shit streaks. Well, there you go. Shout out to Laundry. He is a guy, though, that is doing the good stuff more. Last season, he might do 2 streaks across the whole season. I feel like he's had 3 hot streaks already this season. So, that is improvement. But there is always going to be someone out there. Always going to be someone that's craving the Jollibee. Who's going to sit there and go, this is it, he's figured it out. This is him rest of season. There will be that person. There's an outside chance that he has. I don't believe that he has, but there's an outside chance that he has. But I do think the fact that it is coming more regularly, giggity, you are able to maybe cash in on this and get a more consistent top 40 player back. I would be into it. Understand that the same bad, good, bad streak from the previous seasons is now more like good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. Like that, yeah? So it's more common, the good stuff, but that, I think, enables you to convince someone that it's here to stay. And it might be. I just don't think it is. Let's talk Memphis. I know what happened in this game. They got a lot of players back. Aldama returned. Morant returned. Desmond Bane returned from his 1 game absent, meaning Scottie Pippen and Johnny Conchar moved to the bench. But, what was Taylor Jenkins doing? Not calling the timeout at the end. The weird, I think they played the first 6 minutes or so of the fourth quarter without Jaren or Jar in the game. Morant finished with only 29 minutes. He took an inordinate amount of shots, and that's another percentage killer. 41% on 22 attempts from the field from Morant and 73% on 11 attempts from the line. That kills you. Why wasn't he playing more? Why did Desmond Bane play 28 minutes in this game and take 0 shots in the first half? He ended up taking 10 shots, shooting 60%, having 16, 4 and 4, 2 steals and 2 threes. A really bloody good line. It just could have been much better. So I don't really know what was happening in this game with Taylor Jenkins. I don't understand the strategy at all. At all. With Morant back, you're dropping Pippen, who had 0 points in 13 minutes. We got this question earlier today on the mailbag show. Someone said, should we just be stashing Scottie Pippen for when Morant gets hurt next time? And it's almost impossible to do that. How can you stash a guy like Pippen, who just got 0 points in 13 minutes? How are you going through and winning enough weeks, waiting for something to maybe happen later on? You can't. You cannot do it in a standard format. I don't think there's any way you can do it. And honestly, I think we're at that same spot with Zach Edey. We're not quite there. I might give him one more game. But what I think the Grizzlies feel like they're going to do, and this is me trying to read into something that I actually don't know about, but I feel like you'll get some games where Edey plays larger minutes against bad teams. Their next 4 games are against Minnesota, Houston, the Spurs, and the Wolves. Now, could you make an argument that Edey will play more against Victor Wembanyama? Possibly. But we are seeing so many of his shortcomings here. And they just don't want to deal with it. I should tell you exactly what happened to Edey in this game in terms of production, because he played 18 minutes for 4 points. He took 1 shot. He had 3 rebounds. And since he's come back from his injury, he's not playing enough. He needs 25 minutes plus to be a 12-team league guy. He is not getting it. He is 226th over his last 5 games. He's playing 20 minutes a night. He is not... in 10-team leagues, I would not bother with Zach Edey. I don't think he's good enough to demand 27 minutes a night every night from a real-life perspective. He had some stretches of doing that, but I don't think he's good enough to do it. And now that Aldama and Jaren and Brandon Clark are all there, they don't need him to do that. Is Zach Edey their 4th best power forward / center? I think the answer is yes. Aldama, Jaren, and then Brandon Clark. You could argue Clark versus Edey. I get that. That's okay. But this is all going to be, again, individual preference. Are you struggling? Do you need a roster spot? Do you need to bring Paolo off IL? well, then Edie is disposable in those scenarios. I'd like to give it a game or two to see exactly what develops here, but not good. Santi Aldama played 23 minutes. He had 12 and 9 on 33% with 2 triples and shot poorly from the free throw line. And all season, this man has been exceeding any of my expectations, shooting well above career numbers, putting together numbers that maybe go, why is this happening? How is he continuing to be a 12-team league guy? I'm not going to say that he's going to continue to be as bad as he was in this game, because this is clearly bad, right? But I look at that game and go 12-9, 33%, 23 minutes. I go, yeah, that's literally what I would expect from him. That's exactly how I think Santi Aldama is as a player. Slightly better shooter, but that's sort of what I think he is. I would hold for now, but I am not going to be shocked that if down this last 60% of the season, that he's just not a 12-team league guy. I wouldn't be shocked at that. Jalen Wells saw his production drop with everyone back. Not surprising, 4 points in 23 minutes there. But the Duck played 25 minutes, Luke Kennard, so he got some of Wells' minutes, he got Pippen's minutes. He had 11 points with 3 threes, but obviously, if we do have Luke Kennard in a 12-team league, we drop him. And I'm looking at some of the roster percentage numbers here. Like, Pippins is through the roof, get rid of him. Aldama at 97 on Basketball Monster and Edie at 96. Again, that is one we are going to have to monitor, and I think that will end up coming down pretty quickly. I think, especially for Edie, I do think that we can feel not great about dropping him because he still has some potential, but it's all the holistic package. Is he good enough to play 25 a night every night? I don't think so. Are they going to want him out there with Anthony Edwards or against Şengün and trying to guard those guys? I don't think so. But they could. And it is a tough one to grasp because, like I said, in this game, I couldn't make sense of any of their rotations. So it's very hard to predict what they're going to do with Zach as we move forward. All right, the last 2 games of the day. Very interesting stuff here. Atlanta and Phoenix. The Suns win at 123-115, your final score. The Atlanta Hawks were able to roll out the same starting lineup. I wish they wish they didn't, because that would mean that Jalen Johnson returned. But he did not, so Vic Krejci was starting in his place. He had 12 with 6 assists, which is not a bad line. That's at least streamable in deeper formats. We also got Bogdan Bogdanovic putting up probably his best game of the season, 28 minutes for Bogdan, 17 with 3 threes and 2 steals. That version of Bogdan is a 12-team guy. I'm just not super confident that's always going to happen. But with him back, what it means is that Zach Ricochet can't play mid-20s minutes. Ricochet played 19, he had 5 points. Cool, sick, you're bad. Absolute drop in 10, 12, 14 teamers.
Get that garbage out of here.
Trae Young had 21 with 7 assists. And just doing a quick check on DeAndre Hunter, he did some good things. He had 4 assists. He had 2 steals. But don't be shocked. You're not. I know you're not. But he didn't shoot well, because what he was doing had no chance of holding. 12 points, 2 threes, 33%, 27 minutes for Hunter, who's now 212th over his last 5 games. I'm not suggesting that he is a drop right now. I am suggesting that you've got to consider it a possibility for the future. Dyson Daniels had 13 and 4 with 3 steals, continues his good form. What I should have talked more about Bogdanovic, and I'll do it now, about what you do with him. I don't think that necessarily needs to be a must-roster scenario. You can add him. You can use him. I think he's going to sort of sit around those fringes, though. Okongwu, that's not a bad game, but 8, 5, and 6, but only 22 minutes. That's why he's a fringe guy. And Capella had a 10 and 11 double-double with 2 blocks. Unfortunately, he shot just 36%. He's, again, remaining a fringe player, much like Okongwu. The Suns, though, is where things got more interesting. They still ran the same starting lineup. The Ryan Dunn, Mason Plumlee grouping. Let's take a look at Dunn, who played 16 minutes and had 6 points and 7 rebounds. Yuck. The only reason you would have considered Dunn for this week is a 5-game week, and even then he doesn't profile as a great option. There is 2 games left for the Suns this week. You have got 3 days left of action. You can get a Friday guy in and then a different Saturday back-to-back guy in if you want, and getting that 1 game extra is definitely worth it over holding Ryan Dunn. You don't have to hold Ryan Dunn. In fact, I suggest you don't. Bradley Beal didn't even enter this game as the 6th man. It was Josh Okogie, the first guy off the bench, but it didn't really matter because Beal played 33. He had 25, 7 and 2, 3 steals and a block, and that is 2 really good games in the games coming off the bench. Durant was his usual self, I guess. 23, 2 and 7 with 3 blocks. Also, one of the things now, I have been wrong and right about Durant this season. I said I don't think he's a first-round guy. I worry about some of the signs from last season. One of the signs that I worried about was the drop in free throw rate. That's fine. That's gone back up. Clearly wrong on that. But I was worried about, why is his free throw percentage dropping so far from a man who was like a 91% guy for multiple seasons? Well, that hasn't fixed. He's at like 84 this season. Still fine, but not 91. And he was at 75% again here. Very weird. Don't know why it's happening, but it is happening. And now that is an extended period of time that we've seen it drop off. Another double-digit assist game from Devin Booker. 20 points and 12 assists. That is his new role. But in this one, we got more Tyus Jones minutes. And that is a definitely good sign if you've got Jones. 29 minutes, 16, 2 and 4 with 4 threes. Fine. I'm still not going to be convinced he's going to maintain 12-team must-roster status rest of season. Hold him for now. We'll see where it goes. But also, a great illustration of the way that this game can change. Grayson Allen's first game this week, he played like 13 minutes, and people go, mate, why did I have this guy? Worst stream I've ever done. What a disastrous decision. What are we doing? How did you project this? Blah, blah, blah. All that sort of stuff. And now, 2 games later, he has 23 points with 5 threes in 27 minutes. But, he shot 88% to get there, Grayson. I'm more interested in the minutes, and I would hold Grayson through the rest of this week. But long-term, and by long-term, I mean literally Monday, I wouldn't bother holding him through because I don't think that he's a 12-team guy. But the value is apparent at the moment. Let's talk about the centers. Mason Plumlee played 22 minutes. He had 2 points. Great. Don't care that much. He had 10 rebounds and 4 assists. That's not bad. That's streamable in deeper formats. And that means Jusuf Nurkic must have got some... No, he didn't. No. Nurkic was a DNP-CD. Budenholzer... said John Gabardaro reported that the reason was that it was a coaching decision based on matchups. So Nurk got 0 minutes. Osset Ighodaro had 4 and 5 with a steal and a block. He's an interesting deeper league guy. What do you do with Nurkic? Very, very simple.
Get that garbage out of here!
I thought Nurkic was a better player than Mason Plumlee. I'm not convinced that he's not a better player than Mason Plumlee. I think Plumlee's actually not very good at all. I thought that he would be able to maintain 28 minutes a night this season, and we'd see Budenholzer getting him to take more threes and working on that part of his game. Very wrong on it. Very wrong. So it's an easy drop on Nurkic. Easy drop. They're not playing him enough. He's inconsistent. I still think that some of the discussion about how bad he is overstated somewhat. But if he's not playing, it doesn't matter. Get him out of here. Drop him. Very easily. Really, really disappointing stuff. And this Suns team, even though they won here, they're not going anywhere if Mason Plumlee's their starting center. I'm so sorry to break it to them. They are not going anywhere if that is the case. The final game of the day. The Utah Jazz men, they host the Miami Heat, and the Heat win it in an absolute barn burner. 97-92 is your final score here. Miami, still no resolution to the James Butler situation. So Jaime Jaquez Jr. got another start, and we are seeing the best Jr. that we have seen all season. 20 and 7, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 3 threes. Great shooting game, which he's been bad at all season. He is really, really putting up big numbers at the moment. I would look at that as a gigantic, absolutely massive sell high, and you know the reason why. The reason why is that people go, look, he is going to cook without Jimmy Butler, and my thing is, okay, but when they trade for somebody, somebody is coming back. This is the optimal time. There is no Butler and there is no replacement. I could be very wrong on this. I've been right on Jaquez all season, up to the last 3 games where he's been very good and much better than I anticipated. But I still believe that if Butler is traded, there is somebody coming back, and that does not mean that Jaquez gets to do what he's doing at the moment. Not a very good game from Bam Adebayo. He only played 29 minutes. He had 15 and 7, but 3 steals and 2 blocks. And that meant we got a little bit extra from Khalil Ware. I don't want people to misinterpret my statements on Ware. I think he's good. I think he's a starting NBA center. I think he will have multiple top 50 fantasy seasons. Just not this season. Ware played 29 while Bam played... Ware played 19 while Bam played 29. 8 and 7 with 2 blocks for Superman. That's pretty good, yeah? But like I've said, in order for Khalil Ware to be a 12-team league player, Bam needs to be a 25-minute-a-night player. And that is just not going to happen. Until I see them play together, which I have not at all, ever, it's a moot point. A cow's opinion. Duncan Robinson, this man's game log is out of control. 18 minutes and scoreless. Hayward Highsmith, 22 minutes with 5 points. You can't trust them. But... I tell what you also can't trust, Terry Rozier, because my good friends, he is, and I'm just making sure I've got the right graphics put up here on the screen. You know what's coming. This is anticipation. This is podcast edging. Is Terry Rozier? Is he washed? He looks terrible. He just looks terrible. Maybe this foot injury is a real problem that is persisting, but he looks bad. And, yeah, I like the minutes, 33 of them. 9-3-1 is absolutely dreadful. And then Little Chungus had 11-6-5 and also shot 31%. I am at the point where I don't think I even bother with Rozier. I looked at him as an option to add, but I don't think we need to bother with it. Jovic, good. That's good. It's not breaking down the barriers and holding up a mirror to multicultural society or anything along those lines, but it's good enough to be at least streamable here. While Hero just dropped the casual 23-7-5 with 4 threes, and he is very clearly, I would say, the Heat's best player. On to the Utah Jazz. They also were able to run out the same starting lineup because there was no John Collins, no Keontae George, no Jordan Clarkson, and no Bryce Sensabaugh again. Colin Sexton played 29 minutes. He had 23, 1-5, and 50% shooting and continues to just be an absolute pain in the assholes. Kyle Filipowski had 4-11 with 2 steals and a block, and this guy will have stretches of 12-team relevance. He's got the ability to have some threes, some blocks, some steals, some rebounds, and some assists. And there'll be a period, I don't know when, but there'll be a period at some point this year where he puts it together for 3 or 4 games in a row. Markkanen had 23, 5-1, shot horribly. Not sure if you can really sell high off that, but I'd always be looking to do it. Well, John Juzang shot 22%. He had 5 points. Sick. It was the best game we've seen from Cody Williams, and he had 5-0-0, but he did have 3 steals and 2 blocks. So again, that was just a little bit of a joke at the start there. He also remains really bad, and I don't know where we go from that, but he's young, and we're not going to write off anything in his career at this stage. Well, Isaiah Collier, I can't believe it. I cannot believe that this man shot 60%. What he is at the moment is absolutely, and don't be very cautious about what I'm saying here, because I actually mean this. He's an absolutely elite assists stream player. He's getting like 9 a game. Now, everything else is putrid, usually. But if you need assists, and actually in my matchup in industry pickup this week, I need assists against Jake from Fantasy Trash Talk. Do I just add him? They got the weekend back-to-back. Does George play both of them? Probably not. Do I just add Isaiah Collier, get maybe, let's say, 16 assists across 2 games? Maybe I'll do it. Don't tell Jake. Kessler had 9-15 with 2 blocks. Cool. Should we take a look at the lines of the night? The monstrous, not a real shocker here at this one. I think it's actually pretty self-explanatory that Darius Garland gets it with 40 points and 9 assists. He added 2 steals as well, and the waiver wire line of the night is even less of a state secret, because where did this come from for the wiki Chris Boucher? What? 23-12, 5 of 8 from 3, dominating performance. Your young gun of the night, the best performance from a first or second year player. Well, it's obviously not Boucher because he's a million years old. It's Derek Lively, 21-15 with 3 blocks. And absolutely nobody gets a prize for guessing who the dud of the night is, because the man registered 0 seconds on the court. And that's Jusuf Nurkic. I don't think I've ever given a dud of the night as a DNP-CD, but that's what he is, and you can aggressively jack him off. All right, that'll do it for today's show. So make sure you're finding your beef. Make sure you're setting your lineups for tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. And make sure you are dropping a thumb on this video. But most importantly, keep yourselves safe. Physically, keep your family safe. Keep yourself mentally safe. And I want you, if you feel comfortable to do it, to send me $1,000 via my PayPal. And I want you, if you're comfortable to do it, just tell me something in the comments on the video. Just tell me something that you did that was good. You don't even have to feel particularly proud about it. But I just want you to sit and acknowledge it. And just, again, you don't have to. This might feel corny or hokey. I get it, right? I get it. But if you want to, write it down. Jesus loves you, baby. What is wrong with me today? It's the end of the week for me. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.